Good evening, everybody. So sorry for the technical difficulties. I just want to say good evening to all of our viewers. Welcome to our third episode of the Alberta Pension Plan online town hall. Every second Tuesday, we present and discuss the benefits of an Alberta pension plan. My name is Vicky Bayford, and I'll be your host for this evening's town hall. Alberta First Pension is a grassroots initiative of concerned Albertans who want to educate all Albertans on the benefits of an Alberta pension plan. Our goal is to collect 270,000 names and contact information. And once that's done, we'll begin to collect signatures within a 90-day window and present it to our Alberta provincial government and initiate a referendum on the Alberta pension plan. And then you, as Albertans, get to choose whether or not you want an Alberta pension plan or not. We are not affiliated with any political party or lobbyist groups. We rely solely on donations and volunteers to get our message out to the Alberta public. Please consider volunteering and donating. You can go to our website at www.albertafirstpension.ca. This is a live town hall, so we are encouraging you to ask questions and make comments throughout this presentation. Just put 3 question marks before your question so it will be flagged. And of course, please share and share and share this out to as many people as you can. If you have any direct questions you want to ask us after the show, you can always email us at albertafirstpension@gmail.com. And now I'm going to bring on our guests, Tanner Hnidey, whom most of you are already familiar with, and also Mitch Sylvester. So let's get them up here. Hi, guys. Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
So we were going to discuss today, actually I haven't announced our topic today, but our topic today is going to be on one of the biggest concerns that we get surrounding the Alberta pension plan coming to Alberta is the mistrust in government. So we're going to try and address that the best that we can and hope that we can show you that why this is still a great idea and that our mistrust in government, although sometimes, may not be necessarily misplaced, it's still in our hands and we have to take control of our own destiny. So, and then at the end of this, after the end of our little talk here, then I think what we'll do is I'll talk about our challenges and some of the things, or actually weekly challenges is what I mean. And I'll let everybody know what we're doing and what we're continuing to do to encourage people getting involved. So anyway, Tanner, so when we go out to these town halls and we in person, like I said, one of the biggest things that we get, or we even see on social media, is don't touch our pension, keep your hands off our pension. And a lot of that is fear-based. So can you address that a little bit from your point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. And it is, I think we would all agree, the concern that we're most focused on as well. The idea of a provincial government, or the federal government for that matter, any government, touching investment, not just in pensions, but in any other area, is entirely disagreeable. We don't agree with it. And the reason we don't agree with it is because, of course, government does not have the mandate to earn as much money as possible without engaging in undue risk. That is, government doesn't think like investors think, or government can't think like investors think. When you take your money to an investor, he or she, the investor, has really one objective and only one objective, and it's to make you as much money as possible. Now, they're supposed to do it wisely. We don't want them, investing in foolish endeavors that have huge payoffs, but also incur massive risk. Instead, we want them to invest as wisely as they can, while also earning as much money as they can, so that, of course, our benefit, our quality of life, and our ability to spend on ourselves and so on increases to the highest possible degree. That's all. Now, of course, government's objective, however, is different when they take our money. When we, give money is the wrong word. It's true. Government takes money. When they take our money, their objective is not to use it to invest and earn as much of it as possible for the rest of us to give it back at some time. No. Instead, they take that money really to get reelected. That is the purpose of government. It's to rule. It's to maintain their position on the throne. And so They take money and they'll quote unquote invest. It's not really investing. They're taking our money to do it, but they'll spend some money here and they'll spend some money over there, and they'll build a road or two somewhere else, and they'll do all of these things. So as to encourage you and I to vote for them at the next election. That is the purpose of government. Now, what does this mean? It means they have no real incentive to be wise with their money, which is really our money. They have no real incentive to maintain massive returns on their investments. They don't have that same self-interest to do so. No, instead, all they want to do is maintain power. And so if it means that they have to lose a little bit of money, lose a lot of money is usually what it looks like. But if it means they have to lose a little bit of money in order to be reelected, you and I know they're more than willing to do so. Sure, they might lose out on this investment. Sure, they might lose out on that government job. Oh, sure, this might not have panned out as well as they'd hoped, and they spent a lot more than they were expecting. But in the grand scheme of things, so long as it entices Albertans or Canadians, whatever the government might be, to vote for them again, all of it works out. So we have two different institutions. We have an investing institution and we have a government institution, and they have entirely separate objectives. One is there to rule, the other one is there to make money. Obviously, then, with an Alberta Pension Plan, we want it to make money. We want it to earn as much money as possible without incurring undue risk. And so we would be foolish for even a second to promote government of any structure and at any level operating the pension plan. Instead, we want someone else to do it, someone that's entirely separate from government to do it, someone that isn't influenced by government, so that they can indeed fulfill that mandate to earn as much money as possible and to make sure there isn't undue risk with doing so. Now, is that possible with an Alberta pension plan? And the answer is manifestly yes, absolutely. It takes, of course, diligent and vigilant, scrutinization from the Alberta public. But I am convinced, after seeing all of our work, even over the last 4 years, that we're up to the task of being able to do so. You see, you can set up the Alberta pension plan a couple of different ways. You can have, as it stands right now, the Canadian Pension Plan Investing Board manage the fund. I think that's a foolish thing to do, but legally you're allowed to it if you want to. Or you could have an independent Alberta Pension Plan Investing Board, which to me makes the most sense. It would be an institution totally separate from government, and the Premier and Cabinet, whatever Premier and Cabinet it might be, would not have the power to appoint or remove board members as they pleased. Or, if you wanted, this, in my opinion, is the superior option, you can take the Alberta Pension Plan and how much money is given to the Alberta Pension Plan, and after everything is paid out and seniors are paid out and all is said and done, you take the leftover money and you give it to pension managers, private pension managers that already exist today. You could spread out that money over a variety of different pension managers so as to mitigate risk. And you would tell them, here we are, we have a mandate or we have a target for you to hit. Let's say it's an average rate of return over 10 years of 10%, whatever it might be. And if you maintain that target, then we're going to keep using you. If you don't, we're using someone else. That way it gives the pension managers, who already have an incentive to earn a lot of money, to do even better, and it keeps that money out of the hands of government. So, is the concern warranted? Yes, absolutely. We agree. We don't want government involved in our pension, not at all, not for one moment. Is it, however, a concern that can be mitigated? Again, absolutely. There are various avenues that we are able to take to make sure that government doesn't plunge their hands into the pension and an APP is kept totally separate from that bureaucratic institution.
Thanks, Tanner. So, Mitch, like from your perspective, what is it that Albertans can do to kind of ensure that, one, obviously we have to get to a referendum, and then two, we have to have a successful referendum. But let's just say we get to that place, and not to say when we get to that place, we'll say when we get to that place, what can we do as Albertans, Mitch, to ensure that, the government does take a path that is, in line with a lot of what Tanner said, making sure that we can secure these funds away from the government's hands? What are the things that we can do?
Well, I think first of all, before we go there, I think we have to understand who's taking care of the money now. That group of people is probably the most corrupt government in the history of the country. So that being a fact, I think that we shouldn't have to worry so much about. I personally don't think that money could go to a worse place than where it is now, and I think that there's nothing but a path straight forward with what we can do. And it's like anything else that we're having to do in politics these days. We're going to have to be responsible for taking care of that money ourselves. Take that. I'm a CA board president, for example. Say we could make the rules around the money when we get the money, and we're going to have 3 years to think about that, because it's going to take 3 years for that money to come over here, and we're going to have 3 years to set that all up. I think we can set up a much superior plan to what's there. And as far as checking on the money is concerned, I think we're much more access to Edmonton than we do to Ottawa. And the other thing is that our MLAs are right here. Like in my personal case, my CA board, we see our MLA on a regular basis. We have direct contact with him. And in actual fact, we've seen the Premier in Bonnyville more times than we've seen our MP, which is an absolute amazement to just about anybody that's has anything to do with it. So that just gives you a good overview of the fact that we're going to have to take care of it. There's countries in the world that run pension plans not as big as the one we're going to have. There's going to be a lot of money here. We will be able to take care of it as best we can. The federal government just invested $607 million of our fund into electric batteries in China for electric cars. But we can't invest anything that's going to promote oil patch or promote anything that's Alberta. And that's the other part of it. Not that we want the government to be able to do that, but even if the investment is good, even if the investment will pay, the current CPP will not invest in Alberta. And so if that being the case, I think there's places in the world, there's Scandinavian countries that actually have TV channels where they get to actually watch where this investment money is. We could do that. Our pension fund is going to be very, very big. I believe it's going to be very safe. And I think that we can make the rules around that so that we can best suit Alberta and Albertans. And I believe we're going to get the opportunity to do it as well.
So and then another big question that comes up, and this kind of circulates around this whole government trust thing as well. And because we really, I think as citizens, and this is just like my opinion right now, I'm speaking opinion right now, is that there is a lot of, distrust. Around the world, this isn't just Alberta, this isn't just Canada. So much has happened over the last few years that, it's really hard not to find a troll under every rock that we look under, or that's how we feel anyway. Whether that's true or not is another story. But I feel like just in general, the general mistrust that's going on in society right now, I think one of the things that I think we all need to do is look at ourselves, look at our neighbors, and look at our immediate family, our immediate community, and move outward from there, because those are the people we know we can trust. And one of the things that I love about what we're doing is that Alberta First Pension has been set up with no affiliations to. We have groups that are obviously helping us advertise, helping us get the word out, whatever. But really, the management of this is coming right from Albertans. We have over 375 volunteers that have already signed up, and we're going to need far more. But right now, we have a huge group of people that have stepped up and come forward and said, we want to help, we want to get this done. And, so with, I'm like, as people, what can we do to kind of help alleviate some of that conspiratorial tone that we're dealing with today? What are the things that we can do to help when we're talking to our friends and neighbors about this, to help bring them some type of comfort? Either one of you, if you guys have anything to comment on that.
Well, I think that you have to be aware that the reason that people are mistrustful is because government has literally hurt people in the last 2 or 3 years. And they're literally playing mind games with us and making it a real effort so that we mistrust our neighbors and do all the rest of that. So you're absolutely right. In our case here, We have a very strong grassroots movement, and I believe that there's similar movements in every community. It's possible to have that kind of a movement in every community in the province, and that, as Alberta First Pension, we're actually striving to do. We're breaking the province up into 87 CAs, which is the electoral districts in the province, and we're setting up groups in each one of those CAs. So the goal is to have people looking after their own backyards and appointing members and getting involved with government. And the more they get involved with government, then the bigger ability they'll have to see what's actually happening. And then the grassroots can actually give direction to the government like it's supposed to be, not like it's been. And then we have actually hands-on opportunity to control things. Because I can tell you from personal experience, I have a CA meeting every month. Our MLA sits at the meetings. Our members have opportunity to have conversation, have input, direct him when he goes to Edmonton, and do all the rest of that kind of stuff. And I think that's possible in every CA in the province. And if that pension fund is set up properly, they will help us manage it properly, and they can keep their hands off it, even though they may want to access that. But the rules have to be strong. And since we've been aware of all the stuff that's gone on in the last couple of years, and really all the money that the federal government has stolen from us for sure, then we should be aware that that's a possibility and set up firewalls around everything so it doesn't happen here. Again, it's our choice. Always going to be up to us to watch it. And there's going to be such a gargantuous amount of money involved there that I think it would be in our best interest to pay attention to what's going on with it. I know I will. I guarantee you I will, for sure.
So Tanner, what do you think?
Oh, Mitch is dead on the mark. Like you look at his constituency, for example, and it's abundantly clear that the members of that constituency guide the MLA in the direction they want the government to go, and that's the way it ought to work, right? The only way to guarantee government doesn't become overactive in spheres where they're not supposed to be is to be active as a population. It's to be involved as a citizenry. Albertans have to be involved in the political process if they want to ensure that government acts the way that they're supposed to act. If we instead prefer to let paper bills do our bidding, and by bills I mean bills that are passed in the legislature, that might mean money or legislation, but I'm talking about legislation. If we prefer to say let's let legislation do the talking and do the enforcing, we're going to deceive ourselves and find that, as a matter of fact, we've run a fool's endeavor here, thinking that something which isn't animated, which is just a piece of wood, could possibly, even for a moment, restrict government in doing what they want to do. No, there's only one way to do it, and that is to be active, as I mentioned, as Mitch's constituency is. Like, I've been there twice actually, but the latest event that I spoke at, it was a wonderful example of just how much influence the members of that constituency exercised. It was incredible to see. Unbelievable.
No, thank you. So actually, one of the comments that we have here, so Wayne's asking, he says he understands that Danielle Smith passed a bill that forces us to have a referendum to do this. I don't think she passed the bill. I think she
Jason Kenney.
Oh, Jason Kenney did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Bill 2. Wayne might be talking about Bill 2. There's Bill 2 that was passed last winter that says the Alberta government will have a referendum on the pension, but it's not binding. It's not as though government has to follow the bill says government has a referendum with the pension, but the referendum isn't binding. So even if, let's say that you get 80% support in favor of a pension plan, it's not as though the Alberta government has to say, all right, now we're forced to have our own pension plan. So it's like a kind of, but not really sort of answer, a strange answer. But yeah, Bill 2 is probably what he's talking about.
So is Bill 2, yeah, that's what he said. Bill 2 is correct. So is that the Citizens Initiative Act?
This is that the Citizens Initiative Act? I don't know if it's called that. I just know it's called Bill 2. Okay. I think it's called the Alberta Pension Plan Protection Act.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's specific to the pension then.
It's specific to the pension. That's right. And again, it's just I'll look it up quick. I know that there are a few specific, lines in that act that talk about exactly what it is. Here. So what does it do? It has 4 guarantees, the first of which is the establishment of a provincial pension plan will only occur if supported by Albertans through a referendum. But again, that's not binding. Secondly, contribution rates under an APP will be equal to or lower than those of the CPP, which again is also in the CPP Act.
Right.
The APP must provide benefits to Albertans that are equal to or better than those offered by the CPP, also in the CPP Act. And any asset transferred from the CPP to Alberta will be exclusively utilized for the setup and operation of the APP. So it's a piece of legislation now. Those who oppose this will say, yeah, but legislation can be changed and not followed, which is true. And so it's, it speaks still all the more to, even though we have this bill, Albertans still have to be involved in the process. Absolutely. It's a double check on power. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And maybe this is a good thing. I mean, for me, I actually, a lot of people have said, why didn't she just sign it? Like, why didn't Danielle Smith? She talked about an Alberta Pension Plan late last summer, early fall last year. She talked about bringing it in, and then she just didn't sign it into legislation. She said, no, I want to see, I'll hold a referendum. And then, it even kind of got backpedaled a little bit more, and it really did end up resting on the shoulders of Albertans, meaning all of us. And I'm not talking about us just in this chat. I'm talking about every single person in this province now has fallen upon our shoulders to actually initiate this, even just this referendum through the Citizens Initiative Act, which my understanding, and don't quote me, but I am quite certain the Citizens Initiative Act is binding. So if we get the signatures that were required, she has to follow through with anything that goes through with that act. So, which means she would have to call a referendum on the Alberta Pension Plan.
So Tanner, you said that it wasn't binding.
Yeah.
So even if we lose the referendum, she can say, you know what, we're going to go ahead with it anyway.
Yeah, under Bill 2, yeah, that's how it stands as far as I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, she might be foolish to do so. Who knows? Because, if the referendum fails, well, yeah, I should be more clear here. Yeah, it depends how the government would want to play the situation, right? If you lose the referendum and lose it handily, then it's probably not politically profitable to actually start the pension plan. So, but legally, you can still do it. I'll double check that, but no, I'm certain it's not binding. I'm almost positive on that. Yeah, I am positive on that.
Yeah. And so the tool that we're using, though, regardless that she's, said that she is only going to do this through a referendum, there's nothing holding them to setting a date on this referendum. And that is what we are doing as Albertans to ensure that this does not get swept under the rug, that they don't forget that there's a lot of us that want this to happen. I would say the majority of people, based on the experiences that we've had throughout the last six, almost 8 months now, actually, since we started this, I would say, even across political stripes, as much as we, sometimes you'll see a lot of the NDP banter and stuff, but you know what, I would say more times than not, when people actually get the facts and they can see how beneficial this is, I'd say more people than not still end up signing up to help this initiative than don't. Would you agree?
I had an interesting conversation today, actually, that I'm going to allude to here. I had a gentleman called me this morning, and we got talking politics, and he said to me, "How's the Alberta Pension Plan going?" I said, "It's going good." I said, "I'm actually surprised that it's taken this as long. I thought it would be done by now." And he said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "And you know why that's happened?" And he said, "No." I said, "Have you signed it yet?" And he said, "No." I said, "Do you agree with it? Does I want it to go forward?" He said, "Yes, absolutely." I said, "So you and your wife and your kids and the people you're responsible for, which is probably 40 or 50 people, none of us, you all agree with it, but none of you have signed it, and you're going to sign it, and you haven't." I said, "So the problem is you and all those people that agree with it and are going to sign it, but haven't signed it yet." And that, to me, just about sums it up, because I agree with you, Vicky. I've been to 40, 50 town halls now. And by the time we're done, high 90% of people sign and agree, and they're happy to share with other people. And we're getting, we're still getting hundreds of sheets from these meetings. Like, we just got bunches of them, but people are getting people to sign. The reception is very, very good for this. But going back to your point about the Premier and the 270,000 signatures, she wants the signatures because she basically wants us to educate the people. I mean, and that's basically the long and the short of it. She wants us on the road. She wants us doing town halls. She wants us going to people and explaining what's going on.
Well, and I wouldn't even say necessarily she wants us to. If we don't do this, Mitch, like my feeling on this is, if we don't do this, this will get swept under the rug. Oh, yeah, and I think people need to understand that, because there's pressure coming, at that level, all the levels of government. No one knows what to do. The politicians are politicians. They want to get reelected, and I don't care which political stripe they are and how good they are. We happen to have a very like-minded Premier right now, which is great for us. But at the same time, there's also no one really pushing this right now. So if Albertans don't, this could get forgotten very easily. I think that we do have to, like I said, keep doing what we're doing and getting in front of people and letting them know the benefits of this Alberta Pension Plan. And we are going to start up our tours again in September. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't, right now we do happen to have a more like-minded Premier with what we would like to see. But at the same time, we are at a place, and I think that's one of the things that, we have to acknowledge and get Albertans to acknowledge, is this is not going to happen by political will. This is going to happen by Alberta's will. Well, and it's not a secret the federal government does not want anything to do with it, conservatives or not. Like, Pierre Poilievre does not want this to go through. There's absolutely no question in my mind about that. So we're not going to have to depend on them. But if we're going to have a real sovereign Alberta, and sovereign by definition means if our government here in Alberta will be able to control our area, we're going to have to start decentralizing power from what's going on in Ottawa. So we're going to have to, in order to be able to stand up to the anti-Alberta stuff that they're doing, be able to stand on our own 2 feet. And part of that is having a pension here, and a big part of that. Again, we had a town hall we had the first town hall with the Premier on Friday night, and the attitude in the room is, we absolutely need to get this done. And so that's the attitude of the people. So I guess it's on us, and we'll continue to do. We're already setting up meetings. We're starting on the 16th. Tanner, when are you done all that marriage stuff? Are you going to be back with us on the 16th?
Pretty quick, yes. You're right about. Well, I actually get married on the 15th, and then it's a week, and then I'm back, and then we're busy.
So you're not coming on the 16th then?
No, my guess is no. I could no try as I might. I said, we were saying, you could hold one at the wedding. It'd be, there's however many people there, and you've got them in the room. Why not lock them up for a half hour and give a little pledge?
I'm guessing Paige isn't in the room right now.
No, she's not. No. no. And then that'd be cute, but alas, yeah, I'm back the week after.
Okay, great. So one of the things, actually, this kind of leads right into our weekly challenge. So this is our third week of weekly challenges. Our first week we asked for $5 donations to kind of help us, pay for some of the technology and things that we're using so that we could keep this stuff going through the summer. And everyone came through with flying colors. We went over our goal of $2,000, and we raised, I think it was at the end, actually about $2,600, which was great. So thank you to everyone who participated in that. Week 2 challenge. So this is the challenge that's just coming to an end today. We asked that we share this with 3 to 5 friends and get them to sign up on the website. Now, we didn't make our goal this week, and that's okay. We made about just a little over 25% of our goal. We had, I think, 1,300 or 1,400 people sign up, which is double what we normally get. So we're usually, just to give people an idea, we're usually about 100 people a day that will sign up, and we basically doubled that this week. So you guys still did an amazing job. We got to keep doing that, and I hope everyone just keeps up with that momentum and just keep sharing and getting this in front of people. I hope people remember that. And if this is your first town hall or you haven't been to our website yet, make sure you go to our website, because there are so many videos, resources, handouts that you can use, and flyers that are available for you to use at your disposal. So yeah, you can see there we have videos, we have printouts. All of our events are on our website, including the town halls. And so going into that, we are on week 3. Our week 3 challenge is technically starting tomorrow, but we put it out today. So we want to get loud with our provincial government. So the email that went out today is asking you to send a letter to your MLA and let them know that we want a referendum prior to or by October 2025. And we would like to see the final details on what they feel an Alberta pension plan would look like by the end of this year. So right now, this is correct, the 334 billion from the investment fund, but we're going to get the federal government's interpretation of that number by the fall, is what we've been told. And that's what the federal government, Chrystia Freeland, said. So we're waiting for that number, and we are basically imploring the provincial government that once they have that number, that they don't waste time, and that they roll out, or at least start proposing, what a potential Alberta pension plan will look like, what the reduced contributions could be, what the increased payments could be, if there will be a bonus to seniors, if we're going to increase the death benefit, whatever that plan is going to look like. We want a more detailed plan so that we can start informing Albertans even more. We know with the facts that we have that this is a good deal no matter what for Alberta. We know that this has to get done. But a lot of people are still on the fence because they're detail people and they want the details. So basically, this letter that we're sending out to the government is asking them, one, to set that date by October 2025 for the referendum on the Alberta Pension Plan. And number 2 request on that letter is to have a more detailed plan on what an Alberta Pension Plan will look like by the end of this year. So we're asking you, you can go, actually the letter's already written. All you literally got to do is go on the website, hit challenge number 3. There's a challenge number 3 button on there. It will ask you if you want to email, send it to your MLA, or phone them. You'll have 3 options. If you hit email, it'll ask for your address so that it will give you the correct MLA's contact information. It will bring up the email, and all you have to do is put your name and your email in there and press send. So this is a really good way of engaging and getting loud with our provincial government now, so that they don't think that we're sleeping at the wheel and that we're getting all quiet, because we're just going to get louder and louder and louder until this gets done. So, so that's this week's challenge. So I encourage everybody to send those letters in and share those links for the letters, for the letter writing campaign, to your friends, to your neighbors, anyone who wants to get this done. This is how we're going to get this done. It's going to be multiple different streams of pressure, but we're getting the signatures. We're getting these letters into our government, and this is what we've got to do to just make sure that we get out there and they know that we're here. And this is only going to be done by the will of the people. This is not going to get done, by a politician. This is going to be done by the will of our political will as citizens of Alberta to get this done. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any questions in the question box right now. Do you have anything you guys want to add? Tanner, go ahead.
Just that, yeah, it's No, that principle remains. It's the same whether we're talking about actually passing the pension plan or working once the pension plan's been adopted. What might have you, Albertans have to be involved. Albertans, and that goes for not just this, but for any legislation or any piece of policy from any government, whether it be federal, provincial, municipal, or otherwise. If we're not involved in this particular process, then we are telling government what we want, right? As it's not as though silence is a neutral answer. There are no neutral answers, right? Either we're in favor of this pension plan or we're not. And if we refuse to make our voices known, then it will be seen by government to be a vote for no. We don't want the pension, right? Unless we positively affirm our desire, our intent to have an Alberta pension plan, government will take it as a no vote. They don't want it because they're silent, and so we shouldn't do anything. So it's incumbent upon Albertans really to pass this, right? As much as government needs to, actually go to the feds and so on. True, absolutely, but they won't do so. They won't do so. No government will, unless we as citizens push them there and push them there as hard as we can. So I completely agree with you and Mitch. I think we have to work as hard as we can and continue working as hard as we can to make sure that this pension plan is adopted as quickly as possible to increase the quality of life for our people.
And it will increase the quality of life for our people. Just be aware. It's going to be a very expensive deal for us if we do not do this. There's a lot of money at stake. There's going to be a lot of power for our provincial government at stake if we don't get this. It's going to cost every individual money. It's going to cost our kids money. It's going to cost our grandkids money. A pension plan is actually about money. And it's very important for us to use this asset to the best that we can for the province of Alberta and for ourselves and for the people that we love. So please, further my conversation that we had a little earlier, don't delay. Sign now. That would be good, and get the people that you know to do the same. And we'll get this thing over the hump, and we'll get this thing rolling, and everybody's going to see how really good a deal this is going to be for the province and themselves.
Oh, I got a question here. Will the time frame you have identified, our time frame, which, I mean, we're obviously aiming to have the 270,000 people at least gather. We won't be collecting the signatures until we know we have the resources to collect signatures in 90 days. But the time frame we've identified, will it override the NDP bill, the federal NDP bill, that no province can decide to leave the CPP? Which I don't think that's been passed yet, but I don't know. I'll let you guys kind of talk about that.
Go ahead, Tanner. I'll get it.
Well, yeah, you're right. That bill hasn't been passed yet. It's been, the NDP have been discussing it and so on, but it hasn't been passed. We know, however, that government is going to be as ruthless as possible. And like Mitch mentioned, we know that no government other than Alberta wants this pension plan, right? Whether federally conservative or liberal or NDP or otherwise, all of them want Alberta to remain with the Canadian pension plan. And so it would not surprise me if when the fall session starts again, if the federal government didn't work their absolute hardest to try and see a policy like that put into place. So it just speaks to the urgency of the situation, right? The sooner we can get this done, the better. The fact that that's being proposed at all, the fact that that bill is being proposed at all is such a proof of how badly Alberta needs its own pension plan, right? Because it's not just about money now. Instead, it's about being used by Confederation, by the rest of Confederation, by the Eastern elite and so on, to provide for them. Like, no care or consideration has been, with this bill, no care or consideration has been brought into effect about Alberta's position on the matter. No one, Heather McPherson, the MP for Edmonton there, proposes this new plan, this new law that would say 7 out of 10 provinces have to agree to Alberta leaving the pension plan without asking about Alberta's say in the matter. It's utter nonsense. And it goes to show how the West, not just Alberta, but the West, is treated by those who work the government in the East.
Yep.
And the other thing that bill is going to do is going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on Premier Smith.
Yeah.
At that point, she will be able to call it back on her own without the referendum, and then she's going to have to make the decision, which, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be easy to do. But and if she's forced to do it, hopefully she will. So I'm just saying that in my mind, that's going to be a little bit tough. Will she rush? Are we going to do the next question here? At the end, will the Premier Smith be willing to rush a referendum? She's staying quiet on that. As far as I'm concerned, like I said, she will be put in between a rock and a hard place there, and she will have to make a decision. I believe she'll make the right decision. Honestly, I do. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. And like I said, that's why I think, we as Albertans have to pull together, especially on this one. I mean, there's going to be so much more we will be able to do if we can get this one thing done and bring this one little piece of jurisdiction back to where it should be, and stop paying this extra equalization. I think that's one thing a lot of people don't understand. When we say that we pay more into CPP than other provinces, people go, no, we all pay the same amount. Well, we all know that's absolutely correct. We all pay the same percentage, no matter what part of this country we live in. But disproportionately, Albertans as a whole, as a province, just like our taxes and just like equalization, we send in more because we make more, we have more workers, et cetera, higher wages, our economic advantage. We send $3 to $5 billion a year or more into that CPP fund. And it's funny enough that usually the little piece that gets invested is almost kind of equal to that amount of money. So you're basically that in and out system that CPP has been set up as, even that little sliver that we do actually invest, most of that is coming out of Alberta's pocket again. And it's just another form of equalization that we continue to say, okay, well, we'll subsidize the rest of the country. And I don't feel bad. I personally do not have a guilt complex about taking care or not taking care of the rest of the country, especially when I know that they're not going to be taking care of me when things go bad. We've seen it time and time again. So that's.
So Vicky, the most important part of that is we work more hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, the most important part. So while other people are not working, we are working and paying more CPP. That's the third part of that equation. We work more hours, we're younger, and we're richer. But the work more hours part is the part that bugs me, because I spent a lot of time working in my life, and I spent some time not working. And it would be nice to have a better balance. And most people in Alberta work a lot more than people in other parts of the country, and that's why we over-contribute on EI as well. So that's just another part of this equation that possibly needs to be addressed.
Yep, no, for sure. But one step at a time, and let's get this pension done. So do you guys have any closing comments?
Push as hard as you can. Keep pushing. Yeah, this is when it's, it's easy to join movements and so on when the political temperature in the country is high, or when there are, look at the last 4 years, right? We had an obvious and clear and present threat. And so everyone joined that magnificent movement for freedom. Easy, not easy, but they did so, with earnest excitement, and rightfully so. It's when things are a little bit cooler, right, and there isn't lockdowns all over the place, or there aren't governments freezing bank accounts, that it becomes more difficult from a human perspective to join these movements, because life is going so well, or relatively well. Life is easier than it was. Life is more comfortable than it was. And it's just at that exact time, when it's easier to perhaps not become involved, that we have to become involved. It's just at that time when we say life is comfortable, I can relax, that government doesn't relax and begins to work and work and work as hard as they can. So I think, my closing message is simple. It's to push as hard as we can, to keep working as hard as we can, and to now more than ever pursue what we know this province needs.
And I ditto that. We did a lot of really important stuff, and we've accomplished a lot of stuff. We fired a sitting premier. We're talking about removing tabulators. We're talking about all manner of stuff that we've already accomplished, but there's still a lot of work to be done, and it's going to be a little bit more, not going to be quite as exciting. But the whole thing of it is that we're going to get way more out of it than just basically firing a premier. Getting this Alberta Pension Plan here is going to be something that's going to be going on for 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years, and more. And it's going to pay us more money. It's going to make our economy better. It's going to be a lot of really good things, and as far as I know, no negative things. So, so let's get doing it. It's going to require very little effort from everyone, but it's going to require effort from everyone.
And actually on that, I'm going to address Sharon's question and comment. She's talking about the unions and being educated in this, or have we gotten into the unions yet? At this point, not that I'm aware of, but this is where I'm going to throw back that this is everyone's responsibility. We're trying to organize from, we're a really small group organizing, but really, if you want those unions, if you have union friends and you can get them into a room, even into your living room, we're asking you, we'll help you. You can reach out, we'll help you educate them and give you the information you need to give to your friends that are in the unions. But yeah, I mean, have we actually gone into had a union invite us in to come and talk to them? Not yet that I'm aware of, but hopefully that would be wonderful. I mean, like I said, this is a non-partisan. This should not even have a political stripe related to it. I mean, because this is just so good for everybody in Alberta. It will benefit every single Albertan, every future Albertan. And but yeah, I mean, if you guys have no people in the teachers union, in the medical unions, whatever, I mean, honestly, we will, with help and support, we will definitely go wherever you guys need us to go and get this message out. So so I guess that would be my final thought is this is Alberta's movement. It's not this little group of people here. This is all of you, and it's all of us working together to make this happen. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Again, I'd just like to remind you, go to our website and you can sign up there, and you can always share that link out with your friends and family. Again, tons of resources, tons of videos. You can watch the replays of our town halls. And again, we'll be back in 2 weeks doing another town hall, and we'll see who's going to be there. We're going to probably have a surprise guest there, and someone maybe a little bit new that no one's met yet. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Again, get in touch with us if you have any direct questions. You can get us at our email, albertafirstpension@gmail.com. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Good night.
Night.